Yo boys, back with another video. Today we're going to be doing good old fashioned rogue mage. This is my main mage. He ended up coming back after like 2 seasons. So obviously he has green gear on. We decided to run it up, get his 2 cap. The games were pretty cringe overall. Obviously he's arcane now. So usually what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sap and then open on the DK. Now usually you would DB the DK, but in this instance, unless you're playing really high rated games, and until we get geared and stuff, we're really not gonna have like super high rated rogue mage games. But rogue mage is pretty simple. You'll see in these games that we're just going to sap the healer, open on the DK, and that's pretty much it. So here my guy kicks him. Obviously, at any time anybody else can die. So like here we swapped the priest. We see that he gets to kick. He's at 30%. He's there's nothing he can click during the kick, so he's just gonna die. So for a rogue mage, you'll see in a lot of these clips that the games are really quick because obviously he has no gear. So if we didn't really win in the opener, we're gonna lose. We do have a few good games in here though. So in this instance, they're both gonna be in stealth. My mage is not even gonna bother stealthing. The main target's mainly gonna be the rogue, but the druid can also die. In this game, I think the rogue opens on my mage and ends up getting DB sheeped and doesn't decide to trinket while he clicks blades and is in a shadowy duel. So he ends up just sitting the entire sheep on his blades, which is a big mistake. So here I go after the rogue. I'm like, okay, I figure he's going to be right here, but I guess he just went straight off to the left. So we end up not getting him out. But as you can see, a lot of these games can go really good. It just really all depends. I don't think I'll have an actual official Rogue Mage guide, so I was gonna name this "Teaching You How to Play Rogue Mage," but it's not high enough rated, and the games just don't last because like it's just how it is. So here I pre-bomb, um, mainly to get the druid out, but we actually end up just killing this guy. I sap him on his vanish. He ends up almost living, but thankfully my mage helps me kill him at the very end here, so we end up taking him out. So pretty much a pretty solid kill, and we end up getting a W. Rogue Hunter here. So usually you're going to be going Hunter, but it usually if I'm playing at a lower rated, if you want to know this, anybody that does face me, if I'm playing with a lower rated player or just in general, it's probably because either one I'm carrying somebody or I'm playing with somebody really under gear that just started playing. So had they went my mage, we probably would have lost. But instead they tried to focus on me. So here I blind. I figured he would have trinketed to be honest, but he ends up actually holding, so I end up sapping him on his entire burst. My guy ends up earth or using a shield on the guy here. For some reason, I couldn't even see his trap because it was invisible. Here he bombs me and decides not to blades for some reason. Had he blades, I probably would have had the trinket, but thankfully he didn't, so I ended up being able to hold my trinket. Here I end up getting a free re, even though the rogue's right on top of me. Here I actually try to vanish Kenny him, so I see that he ends up getting the stealth before I can get him, so I'm like, okay, whatever. We open on the hunter here with Shadowy Duel, because obviously if we open on him without Shadowy Duel, he's just going to stun me and it's going to force Trinket. I disarm him the moment the rogue gets to me here, so he can't stun me. At this point, I know he's going to stun me, so here I'm going to stun him and then most likely get ready to run right off the stun. So here I just run. The rogues, they've been so tunnel focused on getting to me that they haven't even looked at my mage with no block yet, and that's like a big issue for them. Is here I actually get a re-stealth right as they stun me, so I get a shield. And then I actually had my mage gave me the shield, so thankfully I had an extra shield on me because I forgot this isn't Shadowlands Rogue. So here we open on the hunter here with a little bit of dam, get the DR kidney, or not a DR kidney, but a 4 comp point kidney, and we end up taking him out. He does have blades here, but for some reason he decides not to come after me. He probably didn't have a step up. He shadowy duels the mage, but just gets absolutely sheeped on his blades, and we end up taking him out. So H-Power lock, usually you're going to go Warlock, but again, under geared, so we're probably going to end up killing the H-Power. We'll see here though. So here we're going to sap the H-Power, start on the Warlock. So we'll see what happens here. So we get Dark Pack immediately. He sacks off of the Dark Pack, so we're just going to swap with a Cloak so he can't stop us. Because we need to get Bubble in the opener. If we swap to the H-Power, we have to get Bubble or Bop in the opener. It has to be one of the two. So here we get Bubble, which is really good for us. Now he's running in here. So the main target's going to be the H-Pal. The Warlock can still die too because he doesn't have any walls. The problem is H-Pal's still going to have Trinket still and Land Hands and Bops that we got to go through. So we'll see what happens here. So here I blind. The mage is going to sheep off my blind most likely. Yep, so he sheeps off my blind. We keep going on the Warlock. Again, Um, we don't do much damage, so there's not much going on. I end up shadowy dueling him. He ends up using his Hellstone. And at this point, we run again. We're like, okay, Warlock is definitely not the target. He has way too much HP, and we're going to be dead by the time we can even do anything to them. So at this point, we kind of have to go HL. So instead of going lock on that last go, we should have just went the HL, maybe got Trinket. So we'll see what happens here. Here he ends up getting a good double stun, ends up getting a double fear. You think the game would pretty much be over for us. Here I kick him. I stun the H-Pal on sec. And then we do a big opener on him. Here he's going to bop himself. And then my guy's going to steal his bop most likely. We'll see. So he's trying to out-heal me. He's kind of just standing still, not doing anything. I end up bombing him here so the lock can't peel. He's going to spell steal. At this point, we just have to full send with blades. So even though he's not stunned, we're running out of options. I have cloak, so I'm just going to cloak all of his blades up, use my shadow dance. And at this point, he has to die. So he's probably going to trinket. We're just going to restun his trinket, and then we have to kill him right here. So here he ends up almost living. Thankfully, we killed him just in time. I actually end up dying here. So to get the kill required a sacrifice, and I was a sacrifice. Usually in any other instance, my mage would be a 9-1 situation where it's impossible for my mage to win. But thankfully, the Warlock ended up doing a lot of things that ended up making him lose. So we ended up taking him out here. Insane 1v1 sitch. So here I'm like, yo, you got to kill the Observer because obviously he's just came back to the game. So, we're going to have some actual Rogue Mage games coming back out. We'll have the Rogue Mage guy coming back out later on once he gets gear. All the good stuff happening. Has some RMP3s coming in. But, otherwise, pretty much he's just 1v1ing this guy. All he's going to be doing is decursing himself to where he can take off the hot or the bleed. And that way he's able to actually move his character and do something. So here he's kind of just waiting it out. He does have block, but he doesn't want to use block. The main goal is just try to wait for your burst and wait for a setup. So here he doesn't have Gladius, so I'm literally telling him when the DR is up because he doesn't have add-ons. So I'm like, okay, well it's up now, so now he's gonna run away. It probably would have been, he probably didn't have his shields up, so here he goes to actually get a little bit of a eat, which is really good for us. Thankfully the bleeds don't just break it. Here he gets a good gate, which was pretty insane. Obviously, we're playing really high rated games, like, for his gear. Like 1800 to 1900 games, like, non-stop. Even though I only started at, like, 1870. So, pretty much all he's doing is he's going to line this guy. Pretty much, this guy dark packs air at 100%, which probably had... Oh, and then he uses his big wall at 100%. So this is exactly what I mean by... This is a 9-1 situation. To where in any other world, we would have instantly lost. But this guy ends up double walling complete air, and we still almost have a chance to lose versus this. Um, so that's very nice. That's what happens when you play a setup comp in 2024. Setup comps are completely dead and useless. But pretty much this guy's PVing our guy down. My guy's trying to PV him down. He's gonna DB sheep and then most likely burst him here. So here he's gonna burst him right now. So big dam incoming. Here he gets feared. He probably should. Honestly, I probably would just trinketed the fear or something. He does have kick as well, so now he gets a full kick. At this point, he's pumping with burst on him. He has touch of magi, so he should take a lot of damage here. He actually gets hit like a baby right there. Literally gets hit for like 10% on his touch of magi damage. At this point, he has to win. He does have block, so just in case, if he goes under like 10 or 15, he can just block. And I think he does right before he wins here. So yeah, he does block right now. We end up taking him out. So here we're gonna go DH. We're gonna run up there, sap the DH, and then we're gonna swap the sap. We'll see what happens though. So yeah, we're gonna run up there, sap the DH. Usually, if they AOE, you don't want to step to them. You kind of just want to walk up to them because if you step on top of them, it's just gonna break. So I don't step to them and I go around them. So I sap to him here. I don't sap the DH because he didn't want to use his eyeball. Here we get a really good opener. I'm gonna bomb late. We bomb late. He gets the good old fashioned. I could blind off the sheeps, but that would require me to stop doing damage, and my mage doesn't do much damage, so it's up to me to get CDs. So we end up getting trinket regardless off my stun, so it ended up being alright. And we get the DH's trinket off a sheep, so these are the type of people that we're almost losing to, as, 2800 XP, 3300 XP, solo shuffle, multi-glads are getting absolutely decimated by the good old fash. So here we go for the cheap off the good old fash. We cheap shot the DH again. Obviously, it's not looking too hot. My guy still has block left. This guy's just jumping around the entire map. I use a shadowy duel. I thought I would have honestly been closer to kill him, but the problem is when you don't have Shadow Dance 90% of your games, you just don't do damage. So yeah, I didn't have Dance, and that was a bad duel. So here I kidney shot him. He can go for the sheep. We'll see if he gets it. So in 2 seconds he can go for it. It's actually so he goes for it. Actually no, he doesn't even go for it because it's DR. It's like okay, I might as well just go for damage. So at this point we don't even bother sheeping because there's no point. So we save the DR sheep. I'm just gonna run, and this is without him having his detail or any add-ons really. So he doesn't even know. So I'm just kind of saying in the chat or I'm talking to him on Discord what's going on. So at this point, both of them can die. I have blades up, but I have to have dance. Without dance, we're gonna lose. So I have to wait for my dance to come up. And this guy is trinket coming back up, so we're in a bad spot. Because if they play this good, then they'll run. When I end up getting an insane sap to a trinket, so into a cheap shot, you think he would be dead here. Because after this, I think my guy sheeps him. So here we get a good opener. At this point, I need to stop the MD for my guy's block if he has to block. So here I'm just farming my Shadow Dance. So here I'm canceling my Slice and Dice literally to just Slice and Dice spam so I can get my stuff back. That's the problem with Sub Rogue. You just don't have a dance over 40-second games. So here he ends up getting the 100. He alters it back. At this point, we have to win the game in 5 seconds. This guy has Trinket coming back up. I'm a Kidney Bomb. The Priest is going to come running up. I think I sap him even though I have Rupture. The Rupture doesn't break the sap just in time, and we end up winning the game off this just in time. Because obviously he didn't have any other CDs, and I blinded him off that. So, really good game. Thankfully this guy, they played bad overall. Otherwise we would have been in a bad spot. Obviously, it's different if you have a little bit more gear. This was a more harder game because these guys actually were they were trying to win these games. These guys were actually pretty solid. And Pharaoh Druids are really hard for Rogue Mages to win, mainly because all they would have to do is run. Thankfully, they don't know that my mage is super undergeared. Otherwise, they would a Pharaoh Druid can kill my mage in probably 3 seconds, like even through altar time, because he dies like incredibly, like insanely fast, even through altar, like a full altar and everything. Obviously, that's with block, but since it's a priest, it doesn't really matter because it'll just MD the block. So here I line here. He fake casts the good old fashioned clone from the mage kick. Here I get a full re. He's still trying to go after me. Again, if he just gone after my mage full time, he would have already gotten block and altar. So for some reason, the druid decides to just run back to get me again. So again, this is like just a miss. This is going the wrong target instead of just going the mage. As a Pharaoh Druid, you can easily catch up to a mage because you're never going to be slowed. You can always just shift for him. So here I try to sap. For some reason, every time I try to do that, my stuff breaks my sap or breaks my combat. So here this guy comes out of form for no reason. So here we end up getting a really good opener. Almost killed him. We get swap here, I think. Actually, no, we get PS. Almost kill him. So that was a really bad mistake by this guy. He was already in bear form, but I guess he tried to pre-kite away instead of just sitting in bear. So here I end up getting, chunked all my HP pretty much. I cloak out of the chunk here. For some reason my cloak bubble, when I'm running it, is bugged out, so it doesn't work sometimes. I think it happens to a lot of other rogues too. Is you'll be running the talent and they're still able. It's basically like just regular cloak. So even if you're running the PvP talent, the bubble cloak thing, where you're basically at bubble for 4 seconds, for some reason it randomly won't, like the talent won't render in, and it's happened to me versus like a bunch of comps. So here we open, I get feared, or we get double feared technically. At this point, he actually ends up DBing the Pharaoh out of stealth, which is really good because it stops him from stunning me off the fear. He cyclones the mage, I just try to get a re, so here I run the farthest away. This guy still hasn't even looked at the mage, he finally starts attacking the mage. So one stun, boom, he gets some damage on. My guy still has an altar and all that good stuff, he has block as well. At this point, I'm going to try to sap. If I can't sap, I'm just going to blind, and he's going to sheep off my blind, so we'll see. He's probably going to pre-DB. So here I blind, I cheap shot, he's going to sheep off my blind. And obviously he's going to do it early, because if he doesn't help me with damage, we're not going to be able to kill anything. So even though it's like a bad thing to do, it's sheeping right when you blind. As long as you're getting like 2 or 3 seconds off of the blind, it's worth it. Because obviously you just have to. So here I break the sheep, obviously I didn't even realize he was sheeping. So here I just kidney him. Again, I still have Vanish. If this guy, and my guy's no block, so he should be going full-time mage right now. Thankfully, he decides to go me, and I still have a Vanish left. So here I'm kind of just running. He fades for no reason. So here I'm just running. I'm running like I'm just kiting this guy insanely good. At this point, we're gonna cheap shot him soon, trying to sap him. So here I'm gonna cheap, and then I'm gonna kidney shot. He needs the sheep here. Here we get a full sheep. Um, I don't even think we win the game here. So here we get trinket into a sheep into a stun. I have nothing left but cloak. So here I'm trying to farm my combo points here to get something off. I cheap again, keep going with the pressure to try to get anything else. And at this point, it's kind of like it was a bad sheep right there because obviously we were just trying to get more pressure. So he probably shouldn't have sheeped, but it ended up being okay because these guys were kiting on all their defenses. So he had survival instincts, and for some reason he's not pushing on top of me. Even though he's low HP, we don't have any more damage, so he should be on top of me the entire game if he's gonna go me. Instead, he decides to go my mage, which is fine as well. But at this point, he's gonna get full sheeped, and you think that the game would be over here, but again, my guy has no gear, so he does no damage. And obviously, without blades, I don't do damage. So we basically had no chance to kill them there. At that point, I do have blades coming up, so as long as we live one more go, I can blind the priest, and then my mage is gonna sheep off my blind as he DBs the druid. So right as I blind, he's gonna DB. So you'll see here, coming up. Just look at my mage. Every time you CC, you want to try to do it at the same time. You don't have to do it every time, but every time you have it, you want to do it. So here he DBs. I'm gonna blind, and then at this point, we're gonna open on him. He's gonna sheep off my blind, and we're gonna win the game. Now, had this druid just instantly trinketed and kicked the sheep, it would have been different. But I think I end up shadowy dueling him, and we take him out just in time through PS at 15% or 10%. Thankfully, because it was a close game. If they played a little bit better, they definitely would have won that pretty easily. So with this comp, usually what you want to do is you want to open the priest and then swap to the hunter on pet sack. That's basically the fire mage strat, but since I'm playing with an undergrid arcane, we're just gonna full go on the hunter. So here I'm waiting for him to open. He fades, I kidney him. He's gonna sheep. So or he rings, so he rings off the kidney. We're gonna open on the hunter here. We end up almost killing him through my shadowy duel. So here I'm gonna offensively cloak. I shadowy duel him here. I'm gonna cloak so he can't use any traps or anything on me. And he ends up almost dying at 1% HP. Boom. So 2% HP, he ends up surviving. He turtles on top of Swap, I'm pretty sure. He lay on hands himself because he's a priest. And at this point, we've gotten a lot of CDs. We haven't gotten any trinkets, so here I blind. At this point, he's going to trinket. My guy's not going to sheep him, mainly because obviously not he can't reach him, and then obviously the DR is already done on the hunter, and we've already gotten double trinket. So at this point, we're just going to wait for one more go, and we're going to win. So the hunter, for some reason, decides not to push in. So they're both on DR. You guys should be right on top of us. I have no CDs left. And look where they're standing. So I'm literally just kiting them out while they're not doing anything. So here I'm just literally standing behind a pillar waiting for the hunter. I trinket the fear so the hunter can't get me in combat, or he can't like start hitting me because I have 0 CDs other than evasion. So here I go in for the sap. He goes for his ultimate penance in the air. Mid sap, I go for the sap. For some reason, the video just ends. So there's that. So here I got a sap on the priest and then we won on the hunter. But we'll leave that speculation. So there's that. So here we open on this guy here. Druid decides just not to use skin or literally anything. I just click cloak, so I cloak both stuns, and we end up winning in the opener. These are the same type of people that are complaining about rogue mage, lol. But we end up winning the game here, and it was pretty easy. And for the last game, ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know what the last game is. We'll see what it is right here. So the same rogue hunter. So this was more of like a warmed. This was like the last games that we played. So we're fully warmed up. Um, Obviously it's super late, so or it's early technically, depending on how you would see it. So my mage actually ends up getting him out because the rogue's is for some reason standing there. He ends up using his racial. I try to sap him. I shadowy duel him here, off of his trinket. So I'm gonna trinket immediately because obviously the hunter's pumping he's pumping. So we don't want to do that. So here he blinds, which is really good. So he blinds my trinket, insanely good. The thing is, he tries to sap instead of just running, and then he dies. So had he not tried to go for the sap, you gotta remember, if I'm already in combat and you try to blind me, blind's only 5 seconds. So if you're not gonna be able to sap me if I use something the moment I'm out of a blind, unless I'm already out of combat. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, berries.